The year 1947, a promise filled the air heavy with the scent of freedom. After centuries under British rule, India was finally its own master, but joy had a bitter aftertaste. The land of Gandhi and Tagore was being torn in two. India and Pakistan, siblings born from the womb of a single nation, emerged into a world already stained with the blood of partition. Millions found themselves on the wrong side of a hastily drawn border, their homes no longer theirs. Fear stalked the land, a poisonous vine choking the very life out of the subcontinent. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, communities that had lived side by side for generations, turned on each other with a terrifying ferocity. The cries of the displaced echoed across the newly formed borders. 1 million souls perished in the violence. Countless others carried the scars of displacement, their lives forever marked by the trauma of that brutal summer. The dream of a peaceful coexistence lay shattered, buried under the rubble of broken promises and shattered trust. The partition, a wound that would never truly heal, set the stage for a cycle of mistrust and animosity that would define the relationship between India and Pakistan for decades to come. It was a birth shrouded in sorrow, a stark reminder that freedom often comes at a terrible price. The ink on the partition documents was barely dry when the First War erupted in 1947. Kashmir, the jewel of the Himalayas, became a bone of contention claimed by both India and Pakistan. The dispute, unresolved to this day, continues to cast a long shadow over the subcontinent. 2 more wars followed in 1965 and 1971. Each conflict deepened the divide, etching the bitterness of partition deeper into the collective psyche of both nations. The 1971 war, which led to the creation of Bangladesh, stands as a particularly painful reminder of the human cost of this enduring conflict. In 1999, the world watched with bated breath as India and Pakistan engaged in the Kargil War. The conflict, fought in the treacherous heights of the Himalayas, brought the 2 nuclear-armed nations perilously close to the brink of a catastrophic confrontation. Each war left behind a trail of devastation. Cities reduced to rubble, families torn apart. The psychological scars, invisible yet deep-seated, continue to haunt generations. The wars served as grim reminders of the fragility of peace and the ever-present threat of violence that hung over the subcontinent. As the 21st century dawned, the nature of the conflict took on a sinister new dimension: terrorism. Militant groups, nurtured in the shadows of the long-standing animosity, emerged as potent symbols of hatred and violence. Their targets were not just soldiers on a battlefield, but ordinary citizens going about their daily lives. The 2001 attack on the Indian Parliament sent shockwaves through the nation. The audacity of the attack, striking at the very heart of Indian democracy, left an indelible mark on the national psyche. Then in 2008, the world watched in horror as terrorists unleashed a wave of coordinated attacks on Mumbai, India's financial capital. The siege, which lasted for 3 days, claimed the lives of over 160 people, including foreign nationals. The images of carnage beamed across the globe served as a stark reminder of the global reach of terrorism. These attacks and countless others like them have had a devastating impact on the already fragile relationship between India and Pakistan. They have deepened mistrust, fueled animosity, and made the pursuit of peace even more elusive. The echoes of past conflicts continued to reverberate. Tensions simmered, threatening to boil over at any moment. Then, on April 22, 2025, tragedy struck again. A group of gunmen opened fire on a group of tourists in Pahalgam, a picturesque hill station in Indian-administered Kashmir. The attack, the deadliest on Indian civilians in over a decade, claimed the lives of 26 innocent people. Among the victims were families on holiday, young couples celebrating their love, and elderly pilgrims seeking solace in the lap of the Himalayas. The brutality of the attack, its sheer senselessness, sent shockwaves through India and beyond. India was quick to point the finger at Pakistan, accusing its neighbor of harboring the perpetrators. Pakistan, as it had done in the past, vehemently denied any involvement. The accusations and denials did little to soothe the raw anger and grief that engulfed India. The Pahalgam attack proved to be the tipping point. The carefully constructed edifice of restraint, built over years of diplomatic efforts, crumbled under the weight of grief and outrage. India, determined to send a strong message, decided to act. A new chapter in the long and bloody saga of the India-Pakistan conflict was about to be written. Section 5. Operation Sindoor. A nation strikes back. On May 7, 2025, India launched Operation Sindoor. Indian Air Force jets, armed with precision-guided munitions, roared across the border, striking 9 targets in Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. The targets, according to Indian officials, were terrorist training camps and infrastructure. The operation, coming just 2 weeks after the Pahalgam attack, took many by surprise. It marked a significant escalation in the conflict, the first time since 1971 that India had targeted locations deep inside Pakistani territory. The strikes, carefully calibrated to minimize civilian casualties, were intended to send an unequivocal message. India would no longer tolerate cross-border terrorism. Pakistan, caught off guard, scrambled to respond. Prime Minister Sharif, condemning the strikes as an act of war, vowed a befitting response. The Pakistani military, put on high alert, claimed to have shot down 5 Indian jets, a claim vehemently denied by India. As tensions soared, the world held its breath. The spectre of a full-blown war between the 2 nuclear-armed neighbors loomed large, casting a long shadow over the region and beyond. Section 6. The world reacts. A plea for restraint. The international community reacted with a mixture of concern and condemnation. The United Nations, calling for maximum military restraint from both sides, urged dialogue to de-escalate the situation. The United States, through its president, offered to mediate between the 2 long-standing rivals. World leaders, from London to Beijing, issued statements urging restraint and diplomacy. The overwhelming sentiment was clear. The world could ill afford a war on the Indian subcontinent, especially one that had the potential to escalate into a nuclear confrontation. Despite the calls for calm, the situation on the ground remained tense. Both India and Pakistan, locked in a dangerous game of brinkmanship, showed little appetite for backing down. The world watched nervously, hoping that sanity would prevail, that the flames of conflict could be extinguished before they consumed the entire region. Section 7. Counting the cost casualties of a divided legacy. As the dust settled, the true cost of the latest chapter in the India-Pakistan conflict became grimly apparent. Pakistan reported 31 civilian deaths and 46 injured in the Indian airstrikes. India, for its part, confirmed the deaths of 13 of its own, including 1 soldier and 43 wounded. Beyond the immediate casualties, the conflict exacted a heavy toll on both sides of the border. Airspace closures led to widespread flight cancellations, disrupting travel and commerce. The economic impact, though difficult to quantify in the immediate aftermath, was expected to be significant, but the true cost of the conflict transcended numbers and statistics. It was etched on the faces of grieving families who had lost loved ones. It resonated in the voices of children traumatized by the sound of bombs and the sight of destruction. It was a stark reminder that the cycle of violence once set in motion was difficult to stop, its consequences far-reaching and devastating. Section 8. A glimmer of hope. Shared threads in a torn fabric. Even amidst the wreckage of conflict, a flicker of hope remained. Despite decades of animosity, the people of India and Pakistan shared more than just a border. They were bound by a common history, a rich tapestry of shared culture and traditions. Stories of cross-border friendships, of families divided by politics but united by love, continued to surface even in the darkest of times. Musicians from both countries collaborated on projects that transcended political divides, their music a testament to the enduring power of art to bridge differences. These shared cultural experiences, though often overshadowed by the rhetoric of conflict, served as a potent reminder that peace, however elusive, was not impossible. They offered a glimpse of an alternate reality, one where the people of India and Pakistan could coexist peacefully, celebrating their shared heritage rather than perpetuating the cycle of violence. Section 9. A fragile peace, the unfinished business of reconciliation. Operation Sindoor marked a dangerous escalation in the long and troubled relationship between India and Pakistan. It served as a stark reminder of the deep-seated mistrust and animosity that continued to plague the subcontinent. As the world watched anxiously, the two nuclear-armed neighbors stood at a crossroads. The path ahead was fraught with danger, the threat of further escalation a constant shadow. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, a sliver of hope remained. The international community, recognizing the gravity of the situation, stood ready to play a constructive role in facilitating dialogue and de-escalation. The shared history, culture, and aspirations of the people on both sides of the border offered a glimmer of hope, a reminder that peace, however fragile, was not an impossible dream. The road to reconciliation would be long and arduous, paved with the hard work of diplomacy, compromise, and a genuine desire for peace. The alternative, a descent into further conflict, was too horrific to contemplate. The future of the subcontinent, indeed the peace of the world, depended on the choices that lay ahead.